to give context to the rest of the video, I'm an iPhone 11 user and this iPhone 12 has been sent out by Vodafone UK, so if you want to check out their deals and where to buy the phone, check the link in the video description. Right then, some of you might have seen my content on the iPhone 11 and iPhone 12 and how the design of the iPhone 12 was inevitable, and it's pretty cool, although not quite as wieldy as some might like. But something that I hinted at in my iPhone 12 video is it worth going with the iPhone 12 over the 11? And if you've got an 11, should you upgrade to the iPhone 12? That's what we're going to discuss today. Straight away, the two main differences are the new design with squared off edges and thinner bezels, and the OLED display. The former of which makes a rather large difference to how the phone feels in the hand and how it is to use. It feels notably less ergonomic to me and a few mates of mine. With the case on, it's still not quite as nice to hold as the 11 as well. This makes sense given the curves of the 11. But what I would say is that the squared off edges and thinner bezels make the phone look significantly better than the rounded ones of this. The latter of which, the display, makes little to no difference unless you really nitpick every single detail like a phone nerd. To the average Joe, to people like me who don't care about phone screens, the iPhone 11's display is more than good enough. To those with a more highly trained eye, the higher resolution OLED in the iPhone 12 is sharper and punchier, and you'd want to pick it if you're using your phone as your main display. That said, both are 60Hz and are about as responsive as each other. As for performance and battery life, I'm going to be honest, it was kind of hard to tell the difference between these two. The iPhone 11 has been rock solid for me since day one, and so it's kind of hard for the iPhone 12 to beat that. I'm not saying that it's better or worse, they feel roughly about the same. In games that I play, basically identical, and the battery life, maybe on the 12 is a little bit lower, but it's still relatively close. As for charging, unless you're into MagSafe, it's the same deal. No fancy 30-watt wired charging here. In fact, as you all know, you don't even get a brick in the box. You'll be buying one of those separately, and it's capped at a higher 20 watts instead of 18. What is there really to say about software? iOS is either like love it or hate it. Some people heavily dislike it and would rather have an Android, and the people who use iPhones are very much used to iOS. They run the same software, it feels pretty much exactly the same. I'm not going to try and convert you either way. Right, onto the cameras. This is an area in which on paper there's not much distinguishing them. 3 12 megapixel sensors, 1 on the front, 2 on the back. The front camera and the rear ultra-wide camera are both the same on the 12 and the 11, however the main camera has now got a faster lens from f1.8 to f1.6 on the 12, and the new camera can also shoot Ultra HD, HDR, Dolby Vision, 10-bit, 30 FPS video, different to the 60 FPS found in the Pro. Other than that, the other video modes are the same between the two. Now, while the versatility of both cameras is pretty much the same for practical use, I found the iPhone 12 is more likely to lift the shadows for HDR than the iPhone 11. And as for optical flares and distortion, they're both pretty much the same. In general, if you're going for the best iPhone camera, you're going to be buying the Pro Max anyway with its larger sensor, but the iPhone 11's camera isn't all that bad, and so it's kind of to be expected that the 12's is roughly the same. The iPhone 12's cameras are some of the best on the market, as the 11 was last year, just not quite the best, if that makes sense. And it's also going to come down to subjective choice. Some people prefer the more contrasty look of pixels, some prefer the more aggressive HDR of the iPhones, and some are going to prefer Huawei's offerings. I'm actually in that latter camp. So then, should you upgrade your iPhone 11 to the iPhone 12, and if you're coming from another device, which should you buy? To answer that first question, the iPhone 11 is as good as it really needs to be. Sure, the new one has thinner bezels and a better display, but fundamentally there's not much between them unless you're an Apple connoisseur and you sweat on the little details. No, the 11 is fine and will be for a good year or so that's not a problem. To answer the second question, if you're looking to upgrade, I think that you should probably go with the 12. It's not that much more expensive, though it's still pretty pricey, and you'll get the latest chip, the better display, and the thing will age better because of this. If you don't care about how it will age and you just want something cheap, then just go with the 11 because it's more than good enough. Objectively, the iPhone 12 is obviously superior, but I would say that there's not enough to really make a big difference either way. Buy whichever you prefer the look of and what your wallet prefers. And you don't need to worry about upgrading for a good couple of years with either of these, so yeah. The iPhone 11 and the iPhone 12 are very much the default iPhones of their generation, and so they're the ones that more people are going to gravitate towards. They make more sense than the Pro offerings because they're roughly the same size and the same specs, but just a little bit more. And especially when it comes to the iPhone 12, because the iPhone 12 has that OLED display and those thinner bezels, two of the things that actually sold a lot of people on the 11 Pro versus the standard 11. Telephoto cameras are pretty useless at just the standard 2x anyway, so it's kind of difficult to explain that one. And obviously the 11 and 12 have great battery life, so they're probably the better ones to go with. On a personal note, I am going to keep the iPhone 11 because for me there's just not a lot in between them, and I don't really care about like the highest specs anyway. I want to give a massive shout out to Vodafone for sending out the iPhone 12, and I've actually got the iPhone 12 Pro in for review, which I'll do in a few weeks and try and get some more Android content in there. But for now, if you want to check out Vodafone's 4G and 5G deals and how to actually get the phones, then I'll put links in the video description. Thank you Vodafone for sending it out, it's really been appreciated. You've actually seen a few devices from them on the channel recently, which I really appreciate. As a spoiler, I've got content coming out on the Galaxy Note 8 and the Pixel 3a XL coming soon. And that's about where I'm going to end today's video. So please do like, dislike, comment and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one. And also check out all my social medias in the link in the video description. I've been Ryan Thomas, and I'll catch you later. Peace.